So what we're doing is a little bit of a social experiment at DT. So what I want to do is create a podcast. Well, each week I'm going to interview someone in the office so I can kind of, get in there, get in deep, find out what makes them tick so that you don't have to.
Yeah.
So my first person this week, do you want to introduce yourself?
You could introduce me.
I could introduce you, but I prefer if you did it yourself.
Okay. Hi. My name is Ian.
Ian, so what is it that you do here at DT?
I'm a content writer and content strategist.
Can you elaborate a little bit on what a content writer / content strategist would do?
Well, we do it. I think we're supposed to do a lot of things. We're supposed to do content audits and content planning and things like that. But mostly what I've done since I've started is just an awful lot of writing for web pages, and I've been on Macquarie for almost a year.
So the one thing that I think about writing is that it's, as with design, it's quite a subjective thing. So what is it that separates, Mr. Macquarie Bank analyst writing the content and you writing the content? What would be kind of the differentiator between those two things?
I think probably the biggest difference is that Mr. Macquarie knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So he tends to come to the computer or whatever with these preconceived ideas about what it is that he knows, whereas I generally don't know that much about anything. So
yeah.
The thing that we try and do is always be as simple as possible, and
yep.
Just try and be clear, concise. And also, when we work with the DT guys, it's the designers and the UX guys have often given us constraints
yep.
to make something that's quite complicated fit into 3 lines.
Yes.
Which
yep.
is harder than you think, to
yep.
sort of, but it's quite a lot of fun. So a lot of the time we just end up we do a lot of editing. Now,
I guess, how did you come to be a content producer, strategist / writer?
Many moons ago, I was a solicitor.
Yes.
And I daydreamed a lot. I wrote a lot of shit about
yeah.
how I could get out of being a lawyer. I wasn't a particularly good lawyer, but I was a very good daydreamer. And then a friend of mine said, "Why don't you go and do award school?
Take that daydreaming professional
and do it properly." And so I did award school. I managed to jag a job in a direct agency, and part of that we did some digital work, and we redid their website, and I just loved it. I did a lot of banners and a couple of other things which were YouTube ads, and I spoke to my old creative director and asked who was the best agency for that kind of stuff, and she gave me a few, and DT was up the top. So I think I approached Stephen Behrens and just asked for a job.
Actually, while we're in the middle of this podcast, we need a name for the podcast. So is it just, straight off the bat, brief is, we need a name for this podcast?
I don't know.
I did think about Downtime at DT.
I like that.
Would that get a content strategy thumbs up?
Yeah, we'd probably shorten it though, D-time or something like that.
D-time.
D-time.
No, we're not.
No, okay.
We're in St. Leonard's, but not on the street.
I don't know.
All right, that can be your role. So next podcast, we'll be launching the content strategy approved name for the actual podcast.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
So, all right. So what I want you to do now is I want you to find your spirit animal. What do you feel would be the animal that would embody Ian Hammond, content strategist?
I don't know. I was thinking about this not this specific question the other day, but it's probably like a disobedient poodle or something like that. Something that it's easily distracted. Sort of, I don't know, something like that. Can be quite entertaining at times, but otherwise it's just a pain in the ass.
So some kind of like Labradoodle, poodle, Labradoodle cross type spirit animal.
I think so. I think this might be embarrassing though. Maybe I should go with a lion or a dragon or something like that. It's a little bit more powerful.
Yeah, but we're going to stick with Labradoodle. I think. All right.
That's awful, isn't it?
Yeah. I guess, why are you passionate about content?
Why?
Yeah. And what is the passion that you'd want to bring into DT?
You said before that content is subjective, and everyone can read, everyone can write.
Yeah.
I think what I really like about what I get to do is that I get to simplify everything, and that's a really nice thing. And I'd like everyone at DT to sort of take that same approach with everything they write, whether it's emails, presentations, even the work, award entries, everything like that. Like, everyone should just be looking at it and, is this saying what I want it to say, and is this the simplest way of saying it? Because whilst we're in a really technical area, and a lot of people get stuck in, that there are ways to talk about design, UX. A lot of the time, like, you're just talking to people who just want the simplest, easiest to understand. And I suppose I am passionate about trying to say things as simply as it can be said.
All right. What excites you about the future of the internet and technology, kind of where we are at the moment and kind of where you think we're going to be?
I think it's a wonderful time to be in digital working in the digital space. The shit that we're going to make, the shit that people are going to make in the next couple of years, it's just going to be mind blowing. If you think about, I talk with my old lawyer mates about what it was like when their partners started, and we're only going back sort of 20 years, and they had a typing pool, guys sitting there smoking, like you'd dictate something, it would go up, it would go to all these girls sitting in a circle who would type it up, and then it would go down, and nowadays those jobs are just gone. Yeah. And and that happened in 20 years. Like, with what they're doing now with 3D printing and with everything that data and that people, what Google knows about you, and it's in 5 years it's going to be mind blowing. What you'll be able to 3D print in a day when you go to work, and
look, it's what I'm excited about as well.
I think it's a fabulous time to be in this industry.
So, look, to give you a bit of context about this question, I think a lot about what would happen if I was transported back in time and I had the knowledge and skills I had now. How would I fare in 7th century medieval England? So this is a real concern that I have, and I kind of try to mitigate that. But I was wondering, how do you think you would fare in 7th century medieval England with the abilities that you have right now?
Terrible.
Terrible?
I've never laid a brick in my life. Yeah. Like, these hands have hardly done a day's hard labour. Like, I think I would be...
But what about your lawyering,
I wasn't a very good one.
Oh.
Unfortunately. I don't know. I think I'd really struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep finding myself trying to memorise how to make gunpowder, or like some kind of thing that I could use as...
The other thing is that I think I've looked at a computer for too long. Like, my eyes would be so bad. Like, I couldn't see anything. If I lost my glasses, I'd be cactus.
Yeah, right. Okay, sorry about that pause there. I'm just looking at my notes about what question I'm going to ask next. What are you kind of your passions, and what are the things that you enjoy doing outside of the office and outside of DT?
I think I probably drink too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're a connoisseur of fancy wines?
No, not even. I'm my father's son. Anything will do.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But, I like being social. I moved to Manly, or Fairlight, a couple of years ago, and we've got this place that overlooks the harbour. So I live with my flatmate. We spend a lot of time, swimming, snorkeling, just enjoying the area, and it is really, really lovely.
Yeah, because there's quite awkward pockets of Sydney where it's like, it's such a bitch to get there, but when you're there, it feels like you're on holidays.
Yeah, it is a pain in the arse. Like, I know that there's a couple of guys that live along Sydney Road who work at DT, and it's crazy because it's 20 minutes away, but it takes an hour, on the bus, and it's a nightmare. But it's wonderful when you get there. Mm. But I'd like to watch more theatre, and see more films, read more books.
Are you going through your 2015? Here's how I'm going to turn my life around.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Community theatre. No, I don't think I'd do that. Yeah. That's awful, isn't it? So what do you do? It's like, I drink too much.
Will your publicist come in pretty soon and be like, sorry, you can't have that interview. If you put that in the interview, we'll have none of my people will talk to you again.
I need to re-answer that.
Yeah. Who would win in a fight? A chimpanzee with a knife or a great white shark that can breathe out of water?
Oh, a great way to kick its ass, wouldn't it? It'd smash it.
Do you know that most people say monkey?
Really?
Yeah.
No. I mean, even if I had a knife,
Yeah.
I don't think I could beat a great white out of water. Like, it would struggle to swim, but those teeth are, they could sort of move like a
Just kind of
snake.
flop around, do the worm. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to take you into the quick fire round now. So just quick, So where were you born?
Hornsby Hospital.
Hornsby Hospital. So you're Sydney born and bred?
Sydney born and bred.
Clients that you're currently working on at DT?
Predominantly Macquarie. Got a little bit of stuff going with Barry and a DT on TA coming out.
Nice. Yeah.
But Macquarie, international, personal wealth, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So 2 things that you like, not exclusive to DT, but just 2 things in general that you really, really like.
God, there's so many things that I like. It's so cliche to say, morning coffee. Actually, it's exercise. I have to do exercise and just and movies, like just obscure films.
And if you ousted Tony Abbott, which
bacon. I like bacon.
Oh, good job. Yeah, I'll let you slip in that third one. If you were able to oust Tony Abbott and become Prime Minister of Australia, what were 2 things that you would change?
I would make it so that you could only be a member of a political party for 7 years max. And that might be a bit obscure, but it would mean that then you wouldn't have any corruption or anything like that, so you could only have your best 7 years and then you'd get the fuck out. So get the...
Yeah.
You can beat that.
I'll bleep that out.
You can beat that.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I think I'd probably have it so it's like a 4-day working week or something like that, I think.
Yeah. Do you think having, condensing it to 7 years would just create hyper corruption?
No.
Right.
What's
your reasoning behind?
I don't know. I haven't really given it too much thought, but I just think that at the moment, people get there and they stay for so long and they don't actually do anything, and it's just like
you want to keep it when they're young and idealistic, and you want to make a difference
before you get cynical and jaded and everything else. You're out.
Yeah, lovely. Look, thanks very much for being the first person on the yet to be named podcast.
Pleasure.
Are there any sort of last words you'd like to leave our listeners with about Ian Hammond, content writer / strategist?
No.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.